This episode of Nintendo Expansion Pass is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support Nintendo Pop Like and the Boss Rush Network, head on over to our Patreon at patreon.com/Boss Rush Network and see which tier is right for you. Thanks for your continued support. Hello everybody, welcome to Nintendo Expansion Pass here on Boss Rush Games. I'm your host, the Delighted Excited Eddie. Join me, is the one, the only Bossman himself, Mr. Corey Dirrig. Hello, good sir.
Hello, Edward. How are you?
I am excited. I am like a little bit jazzed because there's a possibility that we're getting Switch 2 in March of 2025.
Yeah, I've said for like a year and a half that's when I think it's coming. So yeah, I don't think it's coming this year. But that does beg the question: what is coming this year from Nintendo? Now, granted, we are recording this before the partner showcase happened last week. I'm trying to do this in my mind because this is going up on Patreon on 22nd, on the 29th of February. So for patrons last week, for free feeds a couple weeks ago, we will know what's coming from partners, but we don't know what's coming from Nintendo aside from what's already announced. Now, granted, there have been reports that there's a Metroid May is what Jeff Grubb was calling it on Twitter. I don't put a lot of stock into that. I don't know, right? He said Metroid Prime is coming for like 4 years. So I don't know what to think about that sometimes, but I do want to know what other remakes and remasters are coming to Switch this year. Like, are we getting Zelda? Are we getting the Metroid Prime 2 and 3? Are we getting these other things? But, if we do end up getting Switch 2 in March, I think that's the perfect time. I think Nintendo wants this. Nintendo's never going to admit this, Edward, but Nintendo sees the PlayStation 2 in its sights, right? They see it. They're like, yes. Okay, what did this PlayStation 2 sell? 154 million is what they stopped at. I gotta see.
Yes,
and they see it, and they're like, if we can squeeze one more holiday out of this console, we need 15 million units in the next, I would say the next 2 years. But if they can get like 10 million in the next year and be like, we can do this. We can do this.
And,
get a price there. Let's get people to buy their second and third and fourth console.
And Furukawa did say that this year they're still focusing on Switch. The stuff they're talking about next gen, don't believe it on the internet unless we said it. That's what Furukawa said in the investors meeting. So there is a chance that Switch could hit and surpass PlayStation 2. We don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so here's where we're at, Edward. Okay. The PlayStation 2, and this is according to Wikipedia, so it could change, it could be different, a little bit different, but this is as accurate as I can probably give you at this moment. PlayStation 2 is at 155 million units sold. The DS is at 154.02 million units sold. The Switch is hovering around 140 million units, and this was as of September, right? So it's probably a little over. It's probably at like 40. I would say 142 would be my guesstimate. Nintendo thinks they can sell 13 million units in a year and a half, I think. Right? Like, I mean, they have 13 months until the next console comes out. Allegedly, rumors, whatever, right? That's only 1 million consoles per month. Let's do it, everybody. Let's get it past the PlayStation 2, the most overrated PlayStation console ever released, I'll say. in terms of Sony exclusives.
Yeah, I say I give hot takes.
Look, I bought that thing because I saw Madden running on that, and I'm like, I need that. And I bought Madden, NBA Live, and the bouncer all in one go with a controller and a memory card, and I had to wait for the console. And then I bought the Matrix on Blu-ray, and I was the happiest kid on the planet when I got my PlayStation 2. Okay, I loved that thing, but the library, okay, not great until maybe the end of the life cycle with God of War and God of War 2. God of War 2, top 5, top 10 game of all time for me, I think. Maybe top 5. Love God of War 2. Jack and Daxter. You know, I know people love Ratchet and Clank and Sly Cooper. Okay. But what else did that console have? You know, you had a couple Final Fantasy games on there from Square. You had Kingdom Hearts from Square. Okay. PS2 exclusives, but not PlayStation games.
I
Just
will.
saying.
I will
Dragon Quest
say,
8.
love Dragon Quest 8, Final Fantasy 10. I love the cast of Final
Onimusha
Fantasy
from
10.
Capcom.
Oh, Onimusha was the Onimusha. Oh, I'm not going to even lie. Onimusha 1 to 3 was the series from
Yeah,
Capcom.
I'm telling you. Okay, we got Resident Evil 4. We got Devil May Cry.
The GameCube.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
DLC.
just naming some games that were on PlayStation 2 that were great.
Oh, we got Okami. Yes.
Okami. Okay, Ed's Okami. So you got Eco and Shadow of the Colossus. Those are Sony games.
Yes.
I'll give them
yes.
that. Okay, those games were cool. But yeah, man, PS2, it's in the sights, aiming in. Okay,
come on, Nitty. Come on, people.
I would estimate the Switch after the next console comes out. I will estimate the Switch will be on the market for at least 12 to 18 months or longer after the next console comes out. That's my estimate. So I'm just judging by the numbers of the 3DS and how long it was on the market. Right, it was like 2 years before they stopped making those. They're selling those things.
I really feel like the Nintendo Lite OLED, the Nintendo Lite OLED is probably their next thing, next hardware drop.
Dude, if they make a Switch Lite OLED, I'm first in line for that puppy, man. Proper D-pad, OLED screen, fits in your pocket. Let's go. Dude, you know what else they could do though? Seriously, is when they could drop the Switch Lite to $100, if they could somehow get that to $100 or $99 or something. Like, remember when the PS2 dropped to $99 and everybody bought one and you saw this huge resurgence of PS2s go out? Oh man, that's when I got my white PS2 with SingStar or something.
Because it was the slim, right? It was the slim version. That would
Yeah. Oh man, PS2. Good times.
GameCube was $199. No, $140.
It was $250 when it came out, and then I think the last year or so, when the Nintendo Revolution rumors started going around.
Yeah,
what a cool name for a console, by the way. And they switched it to Wii. Gross. They dropped the GameCube to $149.99. Man.
If you did not.
Also, I remember when they dropped the Xbox to $149.99, and that's when I ended up getting it. I ended up getting Halo and Halo 2 and Fable and Knights of the Old Republic at the same time. I still have all 8 original Xbox games that I've ever owned.
I got Halo, but I got it as a used copy, and it was still like $30 some because I wasn't a big into Halo, but I got the Xbox Slim.
Can I name the 8
Xbox
games
F.
I had? Yeah, the 8 games I had for the original Xbox were Halo, Halo 2, Fable, but not the Lost Chapters edition.
Regular Halo, that's what I had.
Let's see, Halo 2, Fable, Oddworld, Stranger's Wrath, which is an amazing video game.
Got that one.
Knights of the Republic 1 and 2, so that's 6. Jade Empire.
Got those 2.
And Star Wars Republic Commando. which I think. Am I missing one? I might be missing one. I might have 9. I might have 9. But I think that's what I got.
yeah,
That's
I
what I got.
feel I got my friends Half-Life 2,
Mm.
Red Faction, Black from EA, Psychonauts. Uh,
Psychonauts. I don't have a physical copy of Psychonauts.
um, yeah, I have to go through mine. I got Elder Scrolls Morrowind. I know I have that one. I didn't know nothing about that game. It was like $2. So I'm like, I'm buying it for cheap. I think I still got my Warriors Within and the Two Thrones
Mm.
for Prince of Persia and
Mm.
stuff. I'm gonna have to go through my Xbox. But Corey, even with all these amazing games that we talking about, do you think Nintendo needs things like this to make the Switch 2 successful? Or their next console successful? Or what is it going to take to make Nintendo's next gen platform or hardware or whatever successful? Because we definitely
So
know it's going to be first party,
yeah.
of course.
So I have a theory on this console, Ed.
Okay, go ahead.
I think obviously the Nintendo hardcore are going to go out and buy it as soon as they can possibly get one, right? However, I think in the long term, it's going to be harder to move people off of the Switch to the new platform
Mm-hmm.
until later in the life cycle. And I don't want people to panic about that, right? Because I think the Switch had we've talked about this before too. Is like the Switch hit at the perfect storm, right? They had a new Zelda game coming out. The Wii U didn't sell well. Uh, the hybrid model really seemed to catch on with people. It hit a perfect storm, right?
Yes.
I think the next console um has a has the opposite problem of like getting people off of the Switch to move to the new console, even if it is backwards compatible, which I think we've heard that it most likely is. It's going to be backwards compatible, and some games will perform better and stuff like that because just based off of the power of the console. Uh, I think uh, I think Nintendo at the end of the day will sell a lot of these units. I don't think it'll be as popular as the Switch, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be popular. I think it'll still end up selling at the end of the day probably 80, 90, maybe even hit that 100 million unit mark.
Yes.
But also it depends on the games, right? Like it's about the games, it's about the software, it's about will third parties support it the way they supported Switch? Will indies continue to have a major presence on this thing?
Mm-hmm.
Is there something that will differentiate it from the current Switch besides better graphics and better hardware? Um what's it going to do that's different? And personally, I don't care if it's different. I just want a more powerful console. I'm ready for a new Nintendo console. It's always exciting when a new piece of Nintendo hardware comes out. Does it have a second screen? Will it be a DS? Like, will it have a clamshell design? Some people seem to think it might. I don't think they're going to do that because I think two 8-inch LCD screens are, uh, expensive, we'll say. Um, I think it will have, it'll be able to produce higher frame rates because the screens will be better. I know people are disappointed in LCD, but if you look at it, like, will it be a 120 hertz screen? Will it be capable of 1080p in handheld?
Mm-hmm.
And I think once you start making OLED screens that small and that, capable of doing those types of things, will it have variable refresh rate? Will it have, will it be able to show what NVIDIA can do with their custom chips? I know people are disappointed in OLED, and we will get the OLED model eventually. Nintendo wants to keep the price down. I think Nintendo is probably still aiming for that $349.99. I
Yes.
think it's going to be $399.99. I think they're hoping they can get the cost down to $349.99 because that is an attractive price.
Yes.
But I think when you start making capable OLEDs, right? Because the OLED on the Switch now is a 7-inch screen, only capable of 720p, and it's only capable of 60 hertz, right?
Yes.
If you make an OLED, let's say just 1080p OLED, that's a significant price jump over the 7-inch OLED that does 720p. And you're adding an inch to that size, you're adding resolution, and then you're potentially adding, frame rate to that. That's an increased cost that Nintendo would like to avoid because they know this console is going to sell.
Mm-hmm.
I love the OLED. I think the colors pop. My big thing is I hope the original Switch model has that bezel that's probably a half an inch thick around the screen.
Yes.
I like the OLED because the bezel is super tiny and you can't
Yes.
really see it.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thing, is I hope that bezel is super small, which if you have an 8-inch screen, I can't imagine there being, because if you start making that thing the size of an iPad with that bezel, it's what are you doing at this point? You might as well just make a tablet with a controller attached to it. I think Nintendo wants this to be a comfortable handheld device. That 8-inch screen is going to be the biggest it's ever going to be. And
I hear that with the PlayStation Portable, that's nice. That 8-inch screen.
Yeah. I hope their controller solution is more elegant, which I think it's probably just going to be the Joy-Cons over again or some variation.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the screen is bigger, I don't know if the current Joy-Cons are going to be able to attach to it because I think those are made for 7-inch screens.
They're made for 7, so they will have to change them.
So
I think when we talked about this, that the Joy-Cons will still be able to be used to play it, but it might be like a controller thing, and kind of like how Xbox One is. It's backwards compatible even with the controller, and Nintendo's known for doing that. So that probably can happen, that your controllers, with your Pro and these will carry over to the next console.
If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dirrig, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, and Todd Oxtra. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network.
So everybody, we're going to discuss more about the Switch 2 because, of course we talked about the tech and everything. I think we got to jump into the games. Because I definitely believe Square Enix is going to be a big supporter of the next console.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead. Sorry, I agree with you.
Bandai Namco, Koei Tecmo. I have a feeling Front Software might be jumping also into it. Arc System Works might be getting into some of the action, and goodness. But now it just hit me. I forgot. Microsoft owns Killer Instinct and not Nintendo because of Rare. But I'm like, maybe if Sekiro, that'd be interesting. Smash from Arc System Works or a new fighting game from Nintendo. That would be interesting to see. But anywho, we're definitely going to. I think the Japanese support is still going to be there. The American support is going to be very interesting. I literally feel like everybody know. Please, Nintendo, give Microsoft a development kit because we want to see Minecraft. If they do a Minecraft 2, we want to see it. If they're going to be, well, of course they have to give one, or because of Activision with Call of Duty, so. But Nintendo might be like, let's give them some more because of the games that that may come from our platform. Like ZeniMax, I believe, will need one. Of course the indies and stuff, but I think Microsoft is going to be a big supporter from definitely from the Western point. And of course Ubisoft, Konami, um, Annapurna. I guess 2K would get one.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
they have a lot of games on Switch, right? I mean they have
yeah.
a lot. So I mean I think you look at what the Switch did, and if you're gonna make a baseline console that's as powerful as a PlayStation 4
Mhm.
with the modern sensibilities of an SSD and maybe some RAM change ups, like I would almost put this maybe at almost the same power as a Series S, to be honest with you.
Oh,
In
I
a lot
would
of
love.
ways. Because I mean, like when they're talking, when I see console comparisons, like the Series S almost less powerful than a PS4 Pro. Like with
Mhm.
some of these comparisons, like in terms of graphical capability. Now, granted, SSDs and the ability to use certain features to improve load times and frame rates and stuff like that, that's totally different. But like from a pure graphical standpoint, the PlayStation 4 Pro is more powerful than the Series S. uh
Ah,
but I think you look at what Nintendo wants to do. I don't think this console is going to be a 4K console. I'll be honest with you,
you know what?
which I don't
I'm not
care.
right. Like I think when we were talking about it, I kind of still want them just to, even though they get 1440p, if they could reach that, I would be fine with it. If they can't
Well,
do that, if they do 1080, I'm completely fine. I want to see the beauty of what Monolith Soft is going to do. Like I
yeah,
just want to see the beautiful games room.
yeah. I mean, for me, it's not about the resolution so much. Although Nvidia's been doing some really interesting uh things with AI upscaling in
Hmm.
particular, and I think you see some of that in they were starting to do it with PlayStation 4 Pro games, not Nvidia, but in general, some upscaling, some interesting upscaling techniques from 900p and 1080p up to 1440p for stuff like Horizon and stuff like that. But it's about texture density and what you can do with textures within that 1080p space. Um, and so I think Nintendo is aiming for 1080p and whatever Nvidia does with their AI upscaling on these chips, because that has become way cheaper than it was, even 2 or 3 years ago to do that. Um,
Maybe we'll get Crystal Dynamics and Amazon to put the Tomb Raider collection on it, the
let's
reboot. Like, oh, I know I want 1 or 2 on there, but I also want 3. I man, I not to go back to the tech stuff, but I'm like those games. I think with this new hardware, I'm fine. Once again, I'll be fine with ports of its games that I love and play, and can see myself repurchasing to play on the system on the go. Titanfall 2, I I I I think Titanfall 2 would get a second chance on Switch, and I think it will prove to Respawn, we will buy your games, we will play them if you just put them on the console. When you feel like Switch wasn't powerful, that's fine. But if this system is able to run it, put it on there. And I think you will find an audience there and everything. Because I think that's the thing with Switch 2, with their next console, is that they want to find, of course, have a previous audience, but you might also gain a new audience for games that just didn't do well on other platforms. And it's not a knock or anything, but if Microsoft could see that, they would do it. If Square Enix is going to see it, they're going to do it. Like, I'm not hoping for Grand Theft Auto to be on Switch. I think that's not going to happen or anything. But maybe State of Emergency. could
God.
get a remake and happen on
Oh,
Switch.
gross.
Manhunt, like I think even some obscure games probably could hit their next console and 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 get that chance. Tony Hawk did well, so why not try to bring that series back? Even though now it's under Microsoft, they may do it and everything and stuff. So, of course, Mercury Steam is going to be a big supporter, and I could see them bring in original IP to their next console, and Nintendo still working with them for a Metroid game. Because Metroid,
Yeah, I think.
okay,
Oh, I think we're gonna get a 2D Metroid. At some point soon ish. Because I've been hearing some things from Mercury Steam has two projects in development, and one of them is a
mm-hmm.
Nintendo exclusive, which is like, well, no, duh, Metroid is the answer. Um, uh, I mean, and Mercury Steam's been making Metroidvanias since forever. Like they made that the um Lords of Shadow kind of 2D one, right? They made the
Yeah,
Batman Arkham Blackgate game, which was a Metroidvania. They did the Samus Returns remake, and then Metroid Dread, obviously, and like
yeah.
they've become masters at that craft. I mean, say what you will about some of the older games, but like that's what they want to make, and that's what they're built for, and that's what they want to do. So uh, it would be really interesting to see if they were doing a Castlevania game as well. Not to like go off on another side tangent, but that would be really interesting to see if they were doing that.
Because Konami has to work with, yeah.
Yeah, I
Actually,
mean,
Konami has to work with. Of course, Konami has to work with one of the two. Of course, my favorite company that I love, Wait For It. They're working with them now with the new Contra game. So I could see, because of course, Wait For It has worked with Nintendo, and I think that's still going to continue. I literally feel like Nintendo is going to be working with those companies with their IPs also. Wait For It and Mercury Steam, and we're just going to get like hits. I can't. It's hard to explain, but I'm like, yeah, I can see this happening because intelligent system. As much as I love them, I think Nintendo is gonna have intelligent system go back with Kobe Tecmo for the next Fire Emblem.
yeah, I don't. I think I don't think intelligent systems is as. I think they've kind of lost a little bit, especially because they seem way more focused on things like Paper Mario,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been proven that I think a little bit at least that when Fire Emblem is being developed by someone else, it's a better experience. Don't get me wrong; they have the gameplay down for Fire
Yes.
Emblem, and if that's what you're for that Fire Emblem for, then sure. But I think Three Houses showed that people want more out of their Fire Emblem characters, and I think the story in Engage was a little bit lackluster. And Three Houses had everything people wanted because it was at the height of the Persona 5 craze, right? Which they added the social stuff into this one, which it was in Awakening and Fates, right? But like
Mm-hmm.
this was like the next step in that.
It, it
Um,
it had people engage in no pun intended, but it had people
ah,
engage with Three Houses. That, of course, there's a lot of replayability, but people were loving the houses that they were choosing and loving the characters and everything. People were in just they was so into Fire Emblem Three Houses. Like it may be one of the best sim games on a Nintendo platform. Like I'm not discounting previous games. I'm not discounting uh what was the one on 3DS?
um,
Fire Emblem game. Awakening. Like no one is I'm not discounting Awakening or anything, but Three Houses just had the people engaged. It sold out twice. Like people were getting this game and everything, and people end up engaging and loving Three Houses. That even even now people are going back to that game to get a feel to and stuff and see what things that they're missing. And so I think it's probably one of the top tier sim games or strategy, it's not sim games, strategy games of any Nintendo platform. And I think to be captured that magic on their next platform, intelligence system may have to go with Koei Tecmo again. They discuss where both of them could work because I think that's what works well with now with that is that like you said, working with another developer and probably bouncing off ideas. The young team probably just like, man, we gotta get back. Because I think Engage kind of feel like this is from an old team trying to let people know what Fire Emblem was really about from the past on how it begins. But I think the intelligence system does so well with Paper Mario, um, and Codename Steam. I think that's the game that might reinvigorize intelligence system for strategy games. Maybe they need to do more of Codename Steam and get it out. Like I could see that happening with intelligence system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Nintendo is going to. I think the way Nintendo is going to find success, right?
Mhm.
And I mean, you can apply this to intelligence systems or any other game, right? I think, or studio. I mean, I think you're going to see Nintendo pull a Breath of the Wild for other franchises, right? I think Mario is going to take the Bowser's Fury formula and
Mhm.
try to make a full game out of an open world Mario game. I think that's what we're getting, an open world 3D Mario game. And you're going to be able to go from, you know, the snow freezy peaks. That's Banjo. But you know what I mean? Like you're going to be able to go to the snow mountains down to the volcano and, you know, whatever. You're going to be able to do all that in one go. And you know, you're not going to jump through picture frames or paint smudges or whatever. You're going to be able to do that. You're going to be able to do the open world thing. I think Three Houses was the first step in the next evolution of Fire Emblem, and
Mhm.
Engage took a little bit of a step back. But I think we're going to get another Three Houses style Fire Emblem. I think the next Donkey Kong is going to be a 3D game that nobody's going to expect that's
That
going to
is
happen.
and I think the Donkey Kong is the big question mark. Not even Metroid
Mm-hmm.
Prime 4. Donkey Kong is the big question mark because where do you take it? Do you because of course we have Donkey Kong 64, but that really is the only 3D platformer that Donkey Kong has.
Yeah,
They
there's not
went
really
back
any
to
3D
2D.
Donkey Kong.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be who's gonna take it and run with it.
Mm-hmm.
And is that a game that someone else could develop?
Yeah.
Platonic? Like
Yeah. Well,
like
they were rumored to be working on Tropical or the third Returns game, whatever you want to
uh
call it, the third 2D game of the reboot. But they kind of came out and said, no, we're focused on our own thing. And uh, the other rumor was that they were working on Banjo Kazooie for Microsoft, was the other rumor. But uh,
now,
I think, I think, I think, I think the first bits of this, depending on what the launch lineup is, right? But I think the
yes.
first bits of this you're going to see in whatever Metroid Prime 4 is this is the way we're going to take our franchises moving forward. We
Hmm.
saw it with Breath of the Wild. You know, that's the formula for Zelda moving forward for at least the next game, the next mainline game. Uh, I think Bowser's Fury was a taste of what the next Mario game is going to be. I think Metroid Prime 4 is going to be a taste of what Metroid is going to be from a first person view moving forward. Dread did a great job of, you know, keeping to the Metroid formula, but evolving it a little bit, right? I think.
Yeah.
Um,
What I wonder is Prime 4 gonna feel very American and Western.
I think it's going to feel more. I think you're going to have elements of the scanning and stuff, but I don't know. It could go either way. It could be totally Metroid Prime 1, where it's more about scanning and
Mm-hmm.
exploring. But I can also see it being, um, I could also see them going like, oh, this is just a first person shooter now. We need a first person shooter in our
Cause I'm
arsenal.
like, cause how do you got someone from from Halo, someone from Battlefield, someone from Call of Duty working on that game if they're still there, and that's three big first party shooting IPs like coming together to retro to work on a Metroid. Just like it boggles my mind because I want to see it, but and I'm not concerned on how it's going to turn out. I just want to see what direction they're going with because it's like, of course, everybody's going to buy it, but like this is a game taking them out of their from what they're familiar with. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
you know how to make a first person shooter, but can you make a first person adventure? The layout, what new powers are you creating in your mind to bring? Because man, if someone from Insomniac had came to retro and they worked on Resistance or and
Mm-hmm.
Resistance 2, oh, Metroid Prime 4 may be the greatest of all time if that ever happened. Because it's just like,
Yeah, but then I think you might run into the problem like there might be too many cooks in the kitchen type situation with that,
yeah.
which is another thing I'm worried about with all these hires. Now, granted, they're all running their own departments and whatever, but like, or even not even running them, just being in their own departments. But like, when we start hearing like, oh, Call of Duty person is hired here, Battlefield person's hired here, Halo person hired over here, like, it starts getting a little worrisome of like, now granted I haven't done any of the research of like where are these people from, were they doing it on these other games, like were they uh directors or department heads, or were
Hmm.
they just artists and gameplay people or whatever. It's like, but if they are had any seniority whatsoever at these other studios, like, again, you run into that problem of too many cooks in the kitchen. And does that is that why Metroid Prime is taking so long, or is it just Nintendo wants to make sure Metroid Prime 4 they get it right and it's running at
Hmm.
60 frames on the Switch and the
Yeah.
controls are correct and they're having that balance between exploration and action, and uh, because I think the last thing they want is another other M situation of, hey, this is a direction we think it should go and it didn't work. Regardless of what we think of Metroid Other M, it didn't work. So this is where we're at now. I think Dread was a great surprise to people. And I
Yes.
think Metroid Prime Remasters showed that Metroid can be done right in it from a first person perspective.
Right.
Um Now will Retro nail it again? I hope so. I hope they made the right hires. I hope Metroid Prime 4 is great. I also think it's going to sell on both consoles.
Hmm.
I think this is the next console's Breath of the Wild, where it sells. Okay, yes, there is a Switch version, or maybe like if you buy it, maybe it's a Xbox Smart Delivery type thing. You buy it once and it runs this way on this console, and it runs this way on
That's
this console.
that would be interesting.
And I think we could. I think Nintendo could possibly be moving in that direction because the rumors are it's backwards compatible with the Switch physically and digitally. And some games will perform better because of the hardware. And does that mean it'll just brute force make these games run better because the hardware is more powerful? So naturally it will just run better? Or, which I think is less likely because it's Nintendo and they're trying to do cost saving things, but also they have NVIDIA custom chips. So who knows? Or does it have an Xbox Smart Delivery type situation where, oh, we see this game is on both. Oh, Nintendo has flagged it for, whatever their version of Smart Delivery is. You have a Switch 2? Here's the Switch 2 version. You know, it's not going to be a guessing game like on PlayStation where, like, oh, Spider-Man, I purchased it. Oh, I accidentally downloaded the PS4 version. Oh no. Now I have to wait 3 hours to download the PS5 version. Now, granted, PlayStation kind of fixed that where it asks you if it's available on both and you have it for both. It asks you which version you want to download, but still annoying.
Yeah.
Smart delivery is not talked about enough.
You know what? I think the reason I know we gotta get off the Microsoft stuff. I think the reason why it's not talked about enough is that Microsoft is not talking about it, and I really think that should be one of their marketing things that they need to bring back.
Man, what a just a nice feature. Just
It's
a
so,
nice feature.
it's
Oh,
it's so
you own
good.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey? You bought it 6 years ago on the Xbox One? Oh, here you go. It's been optimized for Xbox Series X. You can
And
just download that version.
download the patch and be on your merry way. I'm like, oh, trust me, I have enjoyed the smart delivery
Yeah,
on Xbox. Trust
yeah.
me,
And
it's so good.
Tales of Arise? Oh, I see you purchased this game. We don't really understand how to do smart delivery at first, but here, we'll just give you both versions of the game until we figure it out. And like I own both versions of Tales of Arise now because of Xbox's smart delivery, and it's like, okay, well that's great. So,
Yes.
anyways, Switch 2 could see something like that, and I think Metroid Prime 4 is going
Oh,
to be their first example of trying to do something
mm,
like that.
if they do that, you already know Digital Foundry is going to go in.
Yeah.
Like, and trust me, Nintendo Life is going to get his. IGN going to get his. Everybody who does that technical breakdown, this is going to be big because everybody's going to be viewing, giving their opinions. Heck, shoot, we might as well jump on it if we could. But everybody just turn it to Nintendo Power Block. We'll talk about that.
Hmm.
Uh, and everything. So yeah, I think the games are going to be there. Like I said, it's going to be a lot of ports, but I think there's going to be a lot of new IPs, some sequels. Like I think Splatoon 4 is going to probably be a definite on there. I would love to see Tekken 8 on Switch 2 or the next console. Like I would love to see current games that's coming out from software. I think probably can benefit on it by putting some games on that console. Uh, like I think there's a lot that can come for it. Corey, you want to get the last word before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think I hope the Switch 2 delivers. I hope, or whatever it's called, right? Nintendo's next hardware. I know we kind of started this conversation on will they find success with this console? Yes, I think Nintendo has turned that corner of, at least right now, like they're delivering on all fronts with the Switch. Why wouldn't they do it with the next console?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it goes back to when the Switch released, Nintendo took their focus off of two separate consoles, three really kind of attempts, right? Because they had the Wii U and the 3DS, and then also the mobile games that we all forget about because the Switch is so popular. Uh, like they 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 were like, okay, let's focus on this one platform and deliver everything we have for this console, and I
Mm-hmm.
think it worked. I think it worked for them because they had a great cadence of releases from, you know, re-releases to new games to remasters to remakes. Like they've done it all and they've done it all effectively, and they have an endless library to continue to do that on the next console. And so, especially with like and taking their focus off of three platforms and focusing on one also it goes back to our last episode of like they had the foresight to do that when budgets were starting to bloat on other consoles
Yeah.
and development cycles taking 3 to 5 years at minimum on these other AAA games. Where, yes, granted, Nintendo's AAA development also takes about that long, right? Breath or Tears of the Kingdom took 6 years, right? But Nintendo has such a strong development process that you don't notice when you don't get. I mean, you notice, but you don't notice when you don't get a mainline Zelda for 6 years because you're playing Splatoon 2 or Mario Wonder or you know, the Link's Awakening remake, because that kind of softens the blow of not getting a new Zelda, or Metroid Dread, or any of these other games, right? Like, Nintendo's library is so strong. The Switch is so strong. They have a lot of games they could remake or remaster. I mean, there's a lot of 30th anniversary of Ocarina of Time rumors floating around remake. I don't think that's true, but like, if they needed a library filler to to kind of soften the blow until the next Zelda comes out, they could do an Ocarina of Time remake. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
You could do HD versions of Mario Galaxy 2, Donkey Kong Country Returns. You could do, like, they have a whole GameCube and Wii library that we've talked about that are going to get remade or remastered throughout the next 5 years. I mean,
Look,
we're
that's just
seeing
not
it.
that's not the like how the whole GameCube library come to Switch.
Yeah,
Because like after Paper Mario Thousand Year,
yeah,
dude, it's everything, anything is up for grabs for GameCube on that system.
yeah. 40, 50, $60 a pop. Like, okay, yeah, great. Metroid Prime Remaster was $40. They could have sold that for 60 easily.
Yeah,
But like I said, you have a clear vision of, remakes, remasters, new releases, NSO releases, right? I mean, you still have NES and SNES and then 64 games to re-release. You still have GBA to re-release. You can figure out how to do DS titles, obviously handheld only, but you can figure that out. Um, I I think the next console is going to. I'm talking myself into making the next console do better than the Switch, but I think the next console is going to do great, and Nintendo's going to continue to hit on all cylinders, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
yes, I think there's going to be a lot of goodness, great new IPs, great franchises.
I
Of
wonder
course.
what a new IP is going to look like. Sorry to interrupt, but like,
Oh no, that's completely fine. Like I think Arms is still no. Yeah,
Arms
I
2.
think. Well, of course, Arms. But I think Arms is the last IP from Nintendo.
The last major one, yeah. I mean, they own stuff like Good Job and Snipper Clips
Yeah.
and what Moving Out, I think, is theirs.
Oh,
Like,
if we get snipper clips on the next console. Oh,
oh
goodness.
man, Snipper Clip's so good. That
I
studio
heard,
is making another game, right?
I feel like they're going to tap into the DS and 3DS games, and
You know what I'm surprised we didn't get, speaking of DS games?
mhm,
I can't believe we didn't get another Pushmo game.
I think that's coming back. I have a feeling that game is coming back, but how do you do it though? I think that's the question.
Yeah, I think if they would have done it, they would have done it with the Joy-Cons HD rumble
Uh huh.
and have that be sort of like, you push blocks in, and when you feel this certain rumble, you stop and then you do the next block, sort of thing. I don't know. You could have done something like that. I think they would have done it already if they were going to do it. But man, a new IP from Nintendo, what does that even look like? Like, what was the new IP for Wii? They have a new IP for Wii? Wii Sports.
Wii
Duh.
Sports. Actually, they had a lot of new
Dumb.
IPs for Wii.
Um,
You know what?
but like, you
That's
can
what
always point at a generation and be like, that was the new IP of that generation, right? Like, Pikmin was the GameCube.
mm-hmm.
Um,
Pikmin and
Wii
Animal
U,
Crossing.
yeah, Wii U was Splatoon, Switch was Arms. You know,
You know what? Let's put that at let's bookmark that as an expansion pass. What is the new IP for
oh man,
Nintendo's next console?
I don't even know how to do that. I don't even
Well,
know where to start.
I think we could just look at elements from other games and what could create what they could bring, because at this point in time, like, of course, we don't really have a over the shoulder third person view game from Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as an IP, and of course, we could name Gears and stuff. Or we could,
Well, Splatoon kind of fills that role, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Nintendo doesn't have an FPS, like a proper FPS. Metroid Prime is the closest thing, but they don't have a first person shooter at all.
yes, that is that a level based one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Um.
Geist would be the only one, but that's really like
Yeah.
so
Geist.
jumpy.
Mm, mm.
No,
Okay.
but something like Destiny or Halo or like an actual first person shooter, yeah, we don't have that from Nintendo, and I think they could still keep their team rated back going. You know, Golden
Mm-hmm.
Eye was their top one, but they don't. But that was a licensed property, so yeah, I think we'll bookmark that one. Let's book that one for a later date and speak about that, because I think we need time to like get ideas, play other games, and just actually look at Nintendo's library and be like, what haven't y'all not touched on that may fit what you guys could do, or could that game be like, are y'all ready to tap into mature games? Personally,
Yeah.
could that be a new IP? We don't know.
I wonder. I also wonder. I wonder if Nintendo will try to go after like a Marvel license or a Star Wars license or something. I mean, I know we got Ultimate Alliance 3, but like
Yeah,
I wonder if they'll try to do like I don't know. I wonder if Disney has approached them for something like that. I don't know. I mean, I
I
know
don't know.
Nintendo kind of cares more about their own IP than licenses, but it would be interesting to see Nintendo's take on something.
But Nintendo Disney still have a good relationship, because a lot of the games that's with Disney that they publish has been for the Disney world. There hasn't been anything in particular about Disney, like Hercules or Beauty and the
Mhm.
Beast. It's nothing like that. Nintendo lets them do their own games, separate things like that. But maybe Nintendo could do something with Disney for a game, like create maybe something from Pixar or a new IP and stuff. Not so
Yeah.
much Kingdom Hearts like, but who knows? It's a big possibility.
By the way, side tangent, and I'm going to end it on this. Why has Atari and Frontier not gone to Disney to make a Disney World version of Roller Coaster Tycoon? Okay, that's all I'm saying. What are you guys doing? What are you doing?
Is
And
my
that's why I'm
life
ending it.
is my life ready for that? Let me rephrase that. Corey, is your pockets ready for that?
No. Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Dude, I would never play another video game ever again, I don't think. Maybe it'll be available in that weird Fortnite thing that Disney invested in.
That would be interesting.
So we'll see.
Because
I
I'd be like, ugh, this is PC only. I'm like, please drop this on Xbox or something, or do it on console or something.
Well, I mean, it'll be integrated into Fortnite, so it'll definitely be on console. But I want to know what that thing is. It's obviously launching soon. They obviously felt it was close enough to being launched to announce it, right? I mean,
Am I ready for a roller coaster tycoon cross Disney? I think I am. Because don't get me wrong, I would get it, but I would need your leadership and your guidance on what the heck to do, because that's another discussion. You know what? Bookmark it. That one we're gonna bookmark.
yeah. I don't know. I think Parkitect might be the closest thing we're going to get to a classic roller coaster tycoon these days. So
I heard that one was technical, but
Parkitect?
there was the one of them that's like a roller coaster tycoon kind of sim game, but it's like very technical, and everything.
Oh man, I don't know. Ed, get me out of here. If we start talking Roller Coaster Tycoon, we're never leaving.
Yes. If you guys want to hear that, go check out our optional opinion discussion on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts. I think it's on Spotify too. Look up optional opinion. Hear me and Corey discuss about the Roller Coaster Tycoon.
It's somewhere. You'll find it.
Yes. With that, everybody, have a great week. Have a great weekend. And we'll see you next time on Nintendo Expansion Pass. Bye, everybody.
If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dirrig, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, and Todd Oxtra. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network.
This episode of Nintendo Expansion Pass is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support Nintendo Pop Black and the Boss Rush Network, head on over to our Patreon at patreon.com/BossRushNetwork and see which tier is right for you. Thanks for your continued support.